Have you ever felt like there's some kind of invisible wall between you and everybody else? Well, it turns out for a lot of people, that feeling is incredibly real. So today, we're going to dive into the hidden psychology of why making friends can feel, well, impossible. And it's probably not for the reasons you think.
You know who I'm talking about. We've all seen them. That person who's always by themselves in the corner of the room. And it's so easy to just assume, oh, they're shy, or maybe they just like being alone. But what if that's not the real story? What if behind that quiet face, there's a huge, complicated battle being fought inside their own head?
All right, let's start with this idea of an invisible wall. For so many people who struggle to connect, it literally feels like there is a physical barrier separating them from everyone else. A barrier that, for some reason, nobody else can see.
And this is the part we have to get. This feeling, it's not coming from the outside world. It's not that other people are going out of their way to exclude them. It's an internal story. It's a constant whisper from their own brain saying, you don't fit in here. And that becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy that kicks in before anyone even has a chance to say hello.
So where does a powerful story like that even come from? Well, it's not random. It's usually driven by these two really powerful psychological forces: a deep, deep fear of being rejected, and the self-sabotage that comes right along with it.
Okay, so let's talk about this thing called rejection sensitivity. The best way to think about it is like having a smoke detector that goes off every single time you make toast. Your brain's social alarm system is just turned up way too high, so it sees danger everywhere. It's not looking for friends, it's scanning for threats. This isn't just being shy. This is your brain bracing for an impact that probably isn't even coming.
Now, what does that sound like in your head? It sounds like this. This one little thought becomes the ultimate excuse for not even trying, right? It's the reason to stay quiet, the reason to say no to that party invitation. I mean, why would you risk the pain of being rejected when your own mind has already told you it's a sure thing? This fear doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It's built, piece by piece, from things that happened in the past. Maybe it was being bullied. Maybe you were the new kid who moved around a lot. Or maybe it was just that quiet, nagging feeling of always being on the outside looking in. Your brain remembers those moments. And the lesson it learns is simple and kind of brutal. Getting close to people can be dangerous.
Now think about how this belief just builds on itself. Every little moment of doubt. What if I see something stupid? They're not going to like me anyway. It's like you're laying another brick. And before you even realize it, you've built an entire wall around yourself and you're the one who's trapped inside.
So to deal with all this, a lot of people just put on a mask. You know the one, the I'm fine mask. On the outside, they look totally content, like they prefer being alone. It's a survival tactic. But it's just a mask. Underneath, there is a deep, sometimes desperate need for the exact thing they're pushing away, a real human connection. And this all leads to a really strange paradox. If we are biologically wired to connect with other people, why on earth would the brain sometimes choose loneliness? Well, it's because in a really weird way, loneliness can feel safer.
See, your brain is always doing these little risk calculations. And in this case, loneliness is a known thing. It's a dull, predictable ache. Yeah, it hurts, but you know exactly what to expect. Rejection, on the other hand, that feels like an explosion. It's sharp, it's shocking, and you never see it coming. So when you're faced with that choice, the brain often just goes with the safer bet, putting up with the quiet pain of being alone to avoid the potential disaster of being pushed away.
Okay, but here is where the whole story can take a massive turn. That narrative you tell yourself, the I don't belong story, it doesn't have to be the end. Because making friends isn't some magical gift you're either born with or you're not.
And honestly, this might be the single most important idea to grasp. Friendship is a skill. It's not magic. It is not a personality trait. It's just like learning an instrument or learning a new language. It's something that you can practice, you can learn, and you can get good at. So, how do you practice? You start by changing the rules of the game. You know that pointless small talk? Turns out, that's actually the bridge you build to create trust. And forget about trying to be charming or witty. Just focus on being present. Ask people questions, and then actually listen to their answers. And maybe the biggest one of all, just let things be awkward sometimes. An awkward silence doesn't mean you failed, it just means you're a human having a conversation.
And when someone actually starts practicing these little skills, something amazing happens. That invisible wall, it just starts to crumble. And not because the world suddenly got nicer or people changed, the change was all internal. They started telling themselves a new story.
Now, usually this is where a story like this ends, right? On a nice, hopeful note about self-improvement. And that's all true. But there's one more layer here. A final, unexpected twist that almost nobody talks about.
Just think about that for a second. We've spent this entire time talking about the battle happening inside your own head. But what if the struggle isn't only internal? What if there are actual forces out there in the world that benefit from you being alone?
And here is the really unsettling truth. A person who is connected, who has friends in a community, is a powerful person. They have support, they have perspective, they have resilience. But a person who's isolated, well, they are far more vulnerable, far easier to influence and control. So the final question isn't just about how to make friends. It's this: who exactly benefits when we all feel a little more alone?